Hi, I'm a former New York State Supreme Court Justice. Let me tell you about a real case story. I think this is something you'll find very interesting. We had a case upstate New York, very close to the Canadian border. This poor lady was walking out of a shopping center, slipped on some ice, suffered a very substantial injury to her hip, a fractured hip, with a lot of pain and suffering and surgery and all of the bad things that you can connect with that. Now, she was a rather overweight young woman, overweight. Now, an offer was made subsequently for settlement, but of course it was not sufficient and we recommended against it. And of course the client was the last one to say, we agree with what your recommendation is. We had to go to trial. Now we have to pick a jury. We're upstate before the Supreme Court of the state of New York, and we're picking a jury. Now, in a civil case, each side has what is known as peremptory challenges. That means that you can challenge a juror for any reason whatsoever. If you don't like the color of a man's tie, or if you don't like the way somebody addresses you, or whatever the case is, you have 3 peremptory challenges, and you don't have to give any reason as to why you did. All right. Now, the panel is called and the jury selection begins. Now, when the defendant selects the jury and the plaintiff selects the jury, ultimately, there are 3 women who are called from the panel on that jury. And when the time comes to excuse the jurors, all 3 women are challenged for no reason other than the fact that they were women, because they gave appropriate answers. They could be fair and things of that kind. But given the fact that the plaintiff was an overweight woman, the defendant wanted an all-male jury. Well, immediately we saw that this was a violation of the Constitution, because under the due process law, you cannot excuse a juror just because of a juror's sex, or a juror's religion, or a juror's color, or a juror's background, or things of that kind. And this was a systematic approach that violated the Constitution. We said, we want to see the judge. And we went to see the judge. And we made our argument before the judge, claiming the constitutional basis, where women were being excused and taken off this jury just because they were women. And this was an anti-situation that violated the constitutional rights. So we argued in a very vociferous way. The judge was leaning toward agreeing with us. As a matter of fact, we even indicated that the defendant's conduct should be brought up before a sufficient agency, because the agent was not acting appropriately as a lawyer should, in violation of what we consider to be the constitutional rights, not only of the plaintiff, but the constitutional rights of those 3 jurors that were excused only because they were women. Well, seeing that there would be a complication here, and seeing that the judge was leaning toward our argument, the judge said in a very strong term to the defendant, I think it's time that you should try to settle this case at a reasonable amount. The fact is, the case was settled at a very substantial amount, and an amount that was fair and just to the plaintiff, and really fair and just to all sides. That meant the Constitution means something to the citizens of the United States of America, and the Constitution must be called upon to protect the rights of all. Well, that's the story. And until we meet again, this is the storyteller telling you to stay safe and keep out of danger. Thank you.